Hello, it's Tom with Digital Foundry. So this is an idea. What if we take all three versions of Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, going from the original GameCube and Wii versions of 2006, right up to this year's excellent HD remaster on Wii U, and then just run each through our tools to see if there's any real improvement in frame rate. After all, this latest release enhances the originals in almost every other way, so why not frame rate? So to recap, the Wii U remaster on the right certainly brings the goods in visual upgrades. It renders out a full 1080p picture with vastly improved textures and shadow quality too. There are even incidental details added in the background, like trees on the outskirts of Auden Village, just to fill the scene. Perhaps one minor disappointment is the fact that world geometry and effects are largely as they were from 10 years ago, but otherwise this game has never looked better. One small sticking point though is the frame rate on Wii U. You get a near perfect 30 FPS on all three Nintendo consoles with this game, with only some slight variances in frame time on the older machines, which means it spikes to 16 milliseconds at certain points. But even the original GameCube version pushes a very consistent 30 frames per second in the taxing Hyrule Field area, with barely anything under. This is pretty impressive stuff given the age of that machine, but here's the catch. Even with the much improved hardware specs in place, the new Wii U version on the right has frame rate drops not seen on the originals. Take the Farron Woods for example, one of the first dungeons in the game, where alpha transparency effects used for fog in the distance take the remaster down to the mid-20s. As you can see on the light blue line, the remaster just isn't playing ball with this swamp area, but somehow the GameCube and Wii versions happily take on these fog effects at a consistent 30 FPS. So it's a bit of a strange situation then. Why do we have frame rate drops on such new hardware where there were previously none? Well, certainly the Wii U's higher GPU core and memory clock speeds make a big difference in pushing for better looking visuals overall, but the issue here is that it's perhaps gone too far in this sense. Memory bandwidth is still clearly an issue when running the Twilight Princess at 1080p. For perspective, neither the GameCube or Wii are being pressed on this particular aspect, bearing in mind each outputs a 640x480 image. By running at 480p, these older consoles had enough processing headroom for these extra fog effects, but for the Wii U, it combines a 1080p pixel count with these elements, and we're seeing a tussle for that same memory resource coming into play. As a result, we're hitting a bottleneck, and the console just isn't drawing a full 1080p frame every 33.3 milliseconds. Again, thankfully, we're looking at an exceptional case in this remaster, which mostly hits 30 FPS elsewhere. But it is interesting to see how design choices like this can change performance. Even on Wii U's much higher clock GPU, 1080p is still an ambitious visual target to hit, and we'd argue it just about gets away with it. Anyway, the rest of this video is as you'd imagine from all three. We get a good hold on that 30 FPS line, and on hindsight it's actually impressive how well Nintendo kept Twilight Princess running at the 30 FPS mark on older hardware, even going back to the GameCube era. Anyway, that's enough from me. If you found this interesting, feel free to give us a like or subscribe, and until next time, see you later.